Hey guys, it's Tim from Troy City Gaming. Just wanted to get this out there hopefully before the ban list comes live or the day of. Um, this is what I think the tier list is going to be. For some background on myself, since I've only been heard in the deck profile with Joe from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Charity event in December. I moderate the channel. I'm the person who usually does the comments, who uploads video, edits the video. Mike and I both made Troy City Gaming for our friends in our group so that we can have an outlet to show the talent we have as players. With that being said, I'm going to get right into the tier list. Don't really need much more introductions. First up, we have Altergeist. One of my favorite decks. Probably my favorite deck of all time. Sadly, it's tier 2. I'd love to say it's the deck to beat, but I can't say that. There's too many better decks in it. B Trooper, lower than Altergeist on tier 2. Definitely a strong deck. It ends on DPE, which is always nice. Some of the bug cards are weird and do like crazy things. I don't really expect it, but it definitely needs something to push itself up. Now we have what I'm going to call the Gatekeepers of tier 1. Fluwanderees, birds, whatever you want to call them. It's a good deck. It's getting the quick play spell this weekend, which will super help the deck. I actually have this deck similar to Altergeist, but it's still not going to be great. It loses to Droll. It loses to like a well-timed Imperm. Granted, they have the quick play spell now, but it's definitely, I think, the Gatekeeper to tier 1. I think if you cannot beat this deck, say 7-3, it's not going to be a good deck for you. Now we have Birdup. Birdup's a good deck. It lost for Settle Starling. Lyralusk lost that. I still think it's going to be a strong deck, mainly the Tri-Raid engine now. I think it's going to be a lot smaller on the Lyralusk engine. It's probably somewhere. It's either tier 1 or like right here with Fluwanderees being like the gatekeeper for this. Now we have Tri-Brigade. I think pure Tri-Brigade's tier 1. It can do some crazy stuff. No one's doing this at our locals yet. But you can still do like Dagda combo with this deck, which is kind of funny. Definitely isn't the best deck in tier 1, but it's still a scary deck and you have to respect it. Now we have Sidra. We have someone that plays this deck quite frequently. You probably see him at the channel at some point. His name's Cody. And he's been playing this deck since I've known him. I've known the kid for 6 years now. And it's definitely a strong deck. It can catch people by surprise, but they need to open like 2 to 3 interruptions, whether that's Droplet, Dark Ruler, Kaiju, Cosmic, just something to play the game. And if they don't, they're like 1 to 2 card combos all just die because they can't play past like 2 negates. Like 1 negate they can play through, but 2 negates, just not gonna happen, I don't think. They have Dino. I think Dino is probably going to be like the premier going second deck. It doesn't lose to Scythe combo, which is PK. It has Miscellaneousaurus. Read that card for God's sake. It makes everything unaffected. The card's broken. And at points UTC just goes burr and attacks over everything. It definitely isn't going to be the best deck of tier 2. Again, I think that belongs to Birds and Birdup. But I think it's definitely better than B Trooper. I think it goes even with Altergeist, mainly because Mystic's at 1, and unless you open it, like if they interrupt your normal, it can hurt. Altergeist just thrives on decks that are relying on the normal summon. Next up is Dragon Link. I think Dragon Link's probably there with Altergeist. Very, very strong deck. Very good deck. But it doesn't doesn't do enough right now. It loses to hand traps again. It just doesn't do a lot. I got the Shrudo back, which is awesome. That card's like crazy. But I don't know about it doing anything that great. It's going to definitely get a few tops here and there. It might win an event. But I don't think it's going to be up there. Drytron is tier... Lost Eva. It's probably high tier 2. Losing Eva really hurts it. Hurts the board they end on, because now Ultimate Nisk only has like 2 negates max. But the deck's still gonna be strong. Definitely gonna see play. I could make an argument for this being tier 1, but I think it's going to be one of those Gatekeeper decks where these decks all kind of go even with each other. If these decks, all the tier 1 decks and deck to beat gets hit, then I think this is going to be like your tier 1 minus Birdup, because I'll get hit in Crossfire because of Brigade getting hit. Earth Machine's tier 3. Don't know what to say. I've only played this deck a few times, played against it, not played it. It does stuff. It can do some weird things, but again, I just don't see it being good. Might get top somewhere, because again, people don't read cards. That's one of the biggest issues with Yu-Gi-Oh players. And Citadel can come out of the graveyard as Geki your board, and sometimes that's just enough. A Lich is tier 1. I got 3 skill drain. The deck just floodgates you out, puts up a non-targeting pop, non-targeting send, just crazy things it can do. It's not gonna be fun to play against. This is the premier like trap deck of the meta. I'd love it to be Altergeist, but this deck just hands down, sadly, just beats that. Nev Guru. I think Guru is like the Gatekeeper for tier 2. There's like the 3 different variants is Pure, Dolce, and the one that's showing on here, Dragon. Sorry, not Dragon, Dragoon. Dragoon's probably the best one. Dolce's can be scary though. It's kind of funny. Just free rank 4 is a Abyss Dweller, stuff like that. Just can kind of just crap on like some random decks like PK, Drytron. It's kind of just funny. Heroes is next. Heroes is tier 3. Loses to Nibiru. As Sheldon said, one of his opponents, our friend Eric, he just scooped. I have nothing else to say. He got Nibiru and he scooped. Definitely a fun deck. Definitely can be crazy, but needs some help to really get there. Needs a good pilot. Adagnister is a fun deck. I definitely think it's going to be like up there in tier 3. But just ending on your unaffected like 4 or 5k monster against certain decks like Fluwanda Reese is good, but against like every other deck, they just look at you and make access code. And unless you have like crazy hand traps and traps to back up that thing, it kind of just dies, doesn't do a whole lot. Now we have Infernoble. Haven't seen this deck in months since Smoke Grenade got hit, so it's probably niche competitive. It might see some play here and there, maybe at your locals if you have some Infernoble player, but I don't see it doing anything to like do anything up here ever. Lyralusk, I think, is tier 1, probably right below Dino or right at Dino's power. It lost Recital Starling. Well, it didn't lose it, put it to 1. It lost some more, just like Birdup, so it lost an negate there. The deck can still play. It can still end on F0, at least that's what I've been told. It can still do things, definitely, but it turns your like crazy consistent combo to like a 2 to 3 card combo. So it's definitely gonna drop. It definitely went from like high tier 2, maybe tier borderlining tier 1 like birds, to here. Now we have Dolce. I think Dolce is probably somewhere with these 3. I think these 3 decks kind of can keep each other in check. Don't really know a lot. It's a good going second deck. It does its things. Tiramisu is a hell of a card. That's why it sees play still, but don't have a whole lot to say. Orcust. I like this deck a lot. One of my favorite decks from Eternal format, but it doesn't do anything with a heart. The deck just needs Heart to go to 1, and then hopefully it'll do something. I hope it does, because then maybe it'll get like tier 2. The only thing it'll ever be tier 1 again, especially with PK probably getting hit and Bardiche, I presume, getting rebanned at some point. Paleo is probably the worst of the trap decks right now. Has access to 3 Toad, which is cool, but I don't see it doing anything anytime soon. It lost IO. It's a bunch of normal traps. You can't really run the counter traps very well, but I think it's here. Pendulum is probably like, I want to say low tier 2, but I also kind of want to say high tier 3. That can do stuff. It can do its crazy things, but it needs a really good pilot to play well. I don't think anybody besides Triff is going to see play with it, but even Triff, he says it's the best deck and then proceeds to drop it and play something else for a big tournament. It's kind of funny. Then we have PK, Brave PK, deck to beat by far. Super consistent, super good. It runs like 3 pseudo garnets, being Fateful Adventure, the Faithful Adventure, Celestial Dasher. Celestial Dasher are the biggest garnets. Faithful Adventure is not the worst open, because at the end of the day you can still activate it, but it just feels better using the right and just getting on the field for free and going like +3 off that stupid card. Prank Kids with Brave, probably tier 1, probably the lower tier 1 decks, maybe here with like Birdup and Drytron and Birds. I just think Skill Drain's an insane card, and this deck can play through Skill Drain fine. Like, it literally does its entire combo turn 1 and then flip Skill Drain on you, and I think you just auto lose. And it probably is the second best deck to play with the Brave stuff. Rock is probably somewhere in here. It does its rock things, but without Block Dragon, the deck just loses to like 2 hand traps. Salad, I think, is probably going to be like one of the lower tier 2 decks. It takes a really good pilot to play that deck well. I don't think we're gonna see it for a little bit, but it's something you still gotta like kind of know about. Should all Dogmatica invoked, lost an Adir Servant, but didn't lose anything else. I think the deck's still tier 1. It's probably there with Prank Kids at like the lowest end of tier 1, but it's still a good deck. Tier 1 is like pretty expansive this format, I think. Over time, Prank Kids should all might fall to like high tier 2. And then make it like to a 5 deck format instead of like a 7 deck format. I think we're gonna have. But because like the same thing with Brigade, like, it's these 3 decks are probably gonna end up falling, as the 3 decks that are about to come up are gonna get in there. Next we have Sword Soul, really good deck. I played it for a little bit. Joe plays it. That's his main deck right now. Deck definitely does some crazy things. Now, with that being said, I don't think it really beats Brave PK. Going first, it might, but Brave PK can run everything. They can run droplets. They can side into like anything they want almost by siding out like just useless cards. Like, the deck is strong, but Sword Soul, I think, just doesn't beat it consistently enough to knock PK down. I don't think we have a tier 0 deck, but I think this right now, Striker, I think, is probably up here. These are the 4 decks I think that will stick, because Fusion Destiny went to 2, Striker doesn't care. Pot Desires went to 1, Striker doesn't care. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be tier 1 still. The deck's just scary. Going first or going second, like, the deck can break boards. The deck can make a decent board, being like Shizuku 1-2 Widow DPE, and sometimes that's enough. Mystic Mind Stun. I think it's probably down here somewhere, like here. Yes, Mystic Mind is still a card. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it got 3 skill drain. But with 3 skill drain becoming a thing, Evenlies are gonna get saw more. Lightning Storms, Cosmics, just cards that just handle back row. So I think Mystic Mind's just gonna kind of dwindle. Evilton is probably like the lower of the tier 2, I want to say, decks. No, I can't do that. Probably the high tier 3. No, it's probably here. Yeah. I think it takes a good pilot to play well. At the end of the day, it's like a 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16 card package. So you have 24 to 26 if you're going to run 42 slots that you can just fill with hate, like hand traps, things to make sure your normal summons go through. Deck's strong. I think it just, like similar to Salad, it takes a really good pilot. And you might see it every once in a while. And the fact that Trouble Sunny's non-targeting send is crazy. Especially since it can send any card. It can send Skill Drain, it can send all those, and it can tribute itself under Skill Drain and still summon 2 back. Not that really matters, because it goes from 33 to 211s, but sometimes the extra body might just save you. Next we have Unchained. I think it's niche. Sorry, Coder. The deck just doesn't do anything that I've seen. Might do something one day, but I don't think so. VW. Probably somewhere up here. VW is still a strong deck. It can still do its crazy stuff, but again, I just don't know if it's going to do a whole lot. People are talking about punks with it, which might end up being okay, but I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to make a assumption it's going to become really good and go into tier 1. I think it's going to float somewhere in this range. Finally, we have zombies. Zombie locking people's fun. But again, back row hate's becoming a thing. So I don't think the deck is going to see much play. And for the meme, we'll put Master Rule up here. I don't like Master Rule that much. It's not a fun format. But yeah, I think this is the tier list. So, any revisions I would make now that I'm looking at the entire thing, based off what we have? I don't think so. I think everything's pretty solidified at these areas. I think like the 3 decks here, actually probably these 2 decks could move up, and like these 3 decks could move down at any given point. But I think like these decks are pretty solidified here. And I think these decks are like the ones I'm predicting to be up here. But yeah, I think this is the list. Hopefully the next ban list comes soonish. We get E-Man. Scythe is a very oppressive card, and PK is going to abuse it. Tri-Brigade can abuse it. Hell, Striker can probably abuse it if they really want to. I presume they can just side in Sanctums and Scythe if they really want to. And just to I saw a Scythe, I can pop with DPE. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend and get some good pulls from Battle of Chaos this week. Later, guys.